Around 3 years ago, I was 18 and had just graduated high school. I had a crappy part-time job at a retail store and was struggling to be a financially independent woman. I used to be really into cosmetics, so I decided to stop by Walmart on my day off. This was a big deal for me because I've always struggled with really bad social anxiety and I'm always on high alert due to a previous trauma. I usually went to Walmart with either one of my parents, but this day I decided to just go for it on my own. I was browsing the new makeup that was being stocked and I got this sudden tense feeling that I was being watched. There were 2 other women in the aisle with me along with an employee and neither one of them were paying any attention to me, so I figured it was just my anxiety spiking. A few minutes later, the other 2 women left and the employee got called away to help another customer. I relaxed a little once I was alone and carried on looking at all of the new products when I saw this movement out of the corner of my eye. I casually glanced to my left pretending that I was looking at makeup when I was really trying to see who was standing at the end of the aisle. It was a man and it looks like he was staring at me. I turned my head towards him to check if he was actually looking at me or if he was looking at the shelves when I noticed that he was in fact staring at me. Immediately the alarm bells went off in my head, but I figured I was overreacting because he didn't look menacing or dangerous. I realized now that engaging with him at all was incredibly stupid and I should have just ignored him completely, but I was raised to be polite to people and I was more concerned with not being rude than my safety apparently. My responses still make me cringe though. I turned back to the shelf and decided to just ignore him when he started walking over to me. He introduced himself and asked me my name. I told him my first name, and it's an extremely common first name where I live, and he said,
"It's nice to meet you, Michelle. The company I work for is currently looking to hire several young girls like yourself. Tell me, are you currently employed?"
To which I responded, "Yes, I work part-time."
"Oh, where do you work?"
"At the mall." By some miracle, I did not tell him which mall I worked at or what retail I worked for. I actually worked 2 towns over as well, so nowhere near the closest mall in my town.
"I see. Do you like the work there? Do they give you a lot of hours? Do they pay well?"
he asked. At this point, I was getting creeped out and several red flags were going off in my head. I clearly looked uncomfortable, but it was like I was frozen. I couldn't move or run or do anything except answer his questions. "Not really," I responded.
"Would you be interested in working for the company? It pays $18 an hour and you're guaranteed full-time hours."
That was when I took a really good look at the man. He was possibly Middle Eastern. He definitely had an accent that was not from the US, but it wasn't severe. It was very subtle, and I only picked up on it because it was more pronounced when he said certain words. He was dressed in business attire and had neatly trimmed facial hair, possibly late 20s to early 30s. He was attractive too. The thing that creeped me out, however, was that he had no proof that he actually worked for any company. He had no briefcase or bag of any kind, no flyers advertising the job, no business cards, nothing. He also only approached me when I was alone. He never once mentioned a company name or location, or even what the job was. "That sounds like a nice pay," I said.
"Yes, it is. Probably much more than you're making now, right?"
"Yeah."
"So, in order to have you fill out an application, I need to make sure that you're old enough and eligible to work in the US. So, how old are you, and are you a US citizen?"
he asked. "I'm 18, and yes." At this point, I felt my face get hot, like I was about to cry. I didn't know what to do, and I was terrified that if I tried to get away, he would attack me or something.
"Okay, you sound like the perfect applicant. Are you currently in school by any chance?"
"No, I just graduated and my college term hasn't started yet," I responded.
"Okay, well, we are very flexible with our scheduling, so when you do start college, we can work with your schedule, no problem."
At this point, he glanced at his watch and then smiled at me, but something was just off about it, and it made my skin crawl. The only way that I can describe is that it was predatory.
Okay,
I said.
Great. Well, I don't have any applications on me right now at this moment, and I would really like for you to fill one out as soon as possible so that I can submit it right away. I think I have some in my car. Would you mind following me? It isn't too far of a walk. I would hate for you to miss out on this opportunity because all of the positions were filled by the time we received your application.
I was starting to feel queasy, and I remembered that my mum always told me when I was growing up that if a kidnapper got you into their car, your chances of survival reduced significantly. You can't just bring the application inside so I can fill it out here?
Well, I have to head back to the office soon, so it would be a lot easier if you would just come with me to my car so that I can leave as soon as you're done, you know?
He started getting irritated at this point, and he was no longer smiling. I don't think that's a good idea. I finally stopped being an idiot at this point, and decided that if it was in fact a real job offer, it wouldn't sound sketchy as hell. The possibility of making money was not worth my safety, even if it meant that I was stuck at my crappy retail job. He tried to convince me a few more times to go outside with him, but I kept my distance and started edging closer to my end of the aisle. I was still scared to make any sudden movements in case he attacked me, but my brain was in full-on flight mode. I was almost to the end of the aisle when I see a Walmart employee coming towards us. I kind of froze because I wasn't sure if she was coming to talk to me or if she thought that we were stealing or what, but she just started stocking the shelves that the previous Walmart employee had left half done in the same aisle we were in. As soon as she was there, the atmosphere completely changed. This guy backed off so fast that he left the aisle within a minute of her arrival. I was still scared, but I booked it out of that section. I fast walked all the way towards the door and was constantly glancing over my shoulder to make sure that he wasn't following me out to the parking lot. I was running through our entire conversation over and over in my head, along with his appearance, because I had noticed earlier that there was a security guard stationed at the door. I see the security guard still standing there checking receipts and ran right up to her and relayed everything that had just happened to me. I gave her a description of the man, and as I continued to tell her what happened, she got this increasingly worried look on her face. She immediately started walking towards the makeup section and talking into her radio, so she took it very seriously. I didn't stick around to find out what happened because I was on the verge of a panic attack, but I hope they caught the guy. I never heard anything back, and I unfortunately didn't file a police report, though I wish I had. There are several security cameras in the makeup section, so it would be hard for them not to have it on film. So yeah, I have no idea what that guy's intentions were, but I hope we never meet.